What is up, Copy Squad? And today we are going to go over the Gary Halbert Letter warning. Do not read this unless you are already rich sales letter. It's only a couple pages, a little bit different style than what we've done before. And this will also be a little bit different style video than what I usually do with the live streams that go for like 2 hours. What I'm trying to do is create smaller, more concise, digestible videos. They're like 10 minutes in length or so you can get that information piece by piece. You can scroll easier and get through it and everything like that. So anyway, we're covering the headline, and you're kind of getting into the lead. You're building up the hype for your opportunity that you're going to be presenting them. And one of the things that Gary does right out of the gate on this sales letter is he sets up a pattern. He's creating a criteria that will be the thing that makes the sale work later, in that, hey man, if you want a great opportunity, here's the criteria for a great opportunity. It's got to be predictable. It's got to be like a smart guy who's done it before. That way you know it's safe. Like I say, this video will focus on the headline and the lead, and then we'll kind of break it up in a series as we go straight down the rest of the letter. Hope you enjoy it. Let me know if you have any questions or comments in the comment box below. Remember to smash like and subscribe to the thing, and let's just get into it now. What is up, Copy Squad? Today we are going to look over an oldie but a goodie, the Gary Halbert Letter. Warning, do not read this unless you are already rich letter. This letter is brought to you by our good friend, old Greg. Greg mentioned on the Fountain of Youth sales letter part 2, that sales letter was very similar for exactly what Gary Halbert did in his famous water ad. Plenty of similarities between the two ads. Breakthrough product and predict similar benefits, okay? We can thank Greg for bringing this to our attention, and now what I will do is break it down and kind of we'll do that thing that we always do with these videos. So first thing, the 4 U's: urgent, useful, unique, ultra specific. The start of this is actually an introduction. It says, this entire newsletter is going to consist of an ad I wrote for a client some time ago. I think reading it will prove very instructive to you. After you read it, email me at kevin@garyhalbertletter.com and tell me what you think about the ad and how you think it performed. By the way, this ad appeared twice as a full-page advertisement in Investors Business Daily. Okay, cool. Here is the headline. This is it. Warning: do not read this unless you are rich, unless you are already rich. So that is a very short headline. Is it ultra specific? We're going to say no. Is it unique? Yeah. Is it useful? We don't know yet. Is it urgent? Not really. But hey man, it could work. Crazier things have happened. Now we're going to check the Clayton Makepeace checklist against this. Something to note about this ad: this is not a full-length sales letter. This is only, look, just a couple pages, right? It'll be a little bit different than what we're used to seeing, but I wanted to look at it anyway because I'm just interested in it. So maybe we'll learn something, right? And I heard that Gary Halbert was a pretty decent copywriter. I don't know if you've heard about him, but he sounds like a dude who's written some copy. So what does Clayton Makepeace want us to do, right? 1, grab eyeballs. When he does that, he wants you to flag your ideal prospect. He wants you to stoke their curiosity. And he wants you to present a big promise. That is all part of grabbing the eyeballs, okay? And it's basically like what the headline's purpose is to do. Step 2 is to expand upon that headline. Step 3 is to establish some cred. And step 4 is to bribe. You want to give him some sort of reason to continue reading. Bribe him to read this. In this letter, I will reveal to you something very useful and exciting. So does he grab eyeballs? Yes. You see here we got a little warning thing. This is an eye-catching sort of way to grab someone's attention, right? Like, warning, do not read this unless you are already rich. So as far as flagging your ideal prospect, I don't know if this necessarily flags your ideal prospect. It definitely gets their curiosity running. That's the whole point of this. There's no big promise in the headline either, but he did say it ran twice as a full-page advertisement, so it must have worked, right? Also, he wouldn't have sent it to his subscribers if it was a bomb. So we'll just assume that it worked. He's able to carry out on the back of the idea of curiosity. The last thing we're going to look into is the KM checklist. KM for your boy, Kyle Milligan. That's me. Easy. These are kind of the elements that I've found are ubiquitous across all the sales letters that I've gone over that have been successful. They need to reassure you that they are safe and that the results are predictable, that it's a brand new thing that you've never heard of, it's unique, because if you feel like you've heard of it or you can label it or compartmentalize it in your head, you'll ignore it. And then they also need to let you know that you are not, oh man, I'm in the way. You are not too stupid to do this. Any idiot can do this. That's part of easy and anybody. You could not be dumb enough to have this fail for you. They got to teach you that. And then the last thing is the gains need to be big and fast. And if it's not gains, it means the results, right? Like you don't just lose 3 pounds in 3 months. You actually get abs in 14 days. Let's just jump into it. If you'd like to know how someone can start with a simple idea and then generate over $51 million in sales in just 1 year, this is going to be the most interesting message you will ever read. Okay, so it starts out with a bang. So in the headline, he didn't really give us all the big promise and ideal prospect stuff, but then immediately, the very first sentence, we have our big promise for our ideal prospect. And then also, when you have this is going to be the most interesting message. You also have the bribe is embedded in that first sentence already. So all the things that we said wasn't happening before, it wasn't hitting your ideal prospect, and there was no big promise. It wasn't ultra specific or useful. Well, as soon as you get into sentence number 1, right? As soon as he begins to expand upon that headline, you already see all that happening. So yeah, it wasn't right there in the headline. So that's a really unique case, right? Because we usually judge this step 1 by grabbing the eyeballs by the headline, and then we usually judge the 4 U's by the headline. But actually, it's the first 2 sentences, which in a lot of sales letters, it would be the headline and the deck copy. And the deck copy, let me show you something deck copy. On this one, for instance, you've got the headline here, and then you've got some deck copy. And we kind of consider that, and then even the image as well. We kind of consider all those elements when we're looking over the 4 U's and number 1 for the Clayton Makepeace checklist. And it's a little bit different here, but he definitely hits all these things. So we'll put ... check, ... check, right? He does that. Useful ... check. Ultra specific, 51 million ... We'll give him a check on that one too. Start with a simple idea and generate 51 million. That's super unique, super useful, and pretty specific. Okay, let's move in here. Here's why. There's a guy in California named Carl Palmer who, until recently, was very wealthy and very bored. He got rich the first time by starting a company in 1970, which he sold out to Coca-Cola just 3 years later in 1973. As part of the deal, he had to sign a non-compete agreement with a duration of 5 years. After that 5 years ended, he went back in business and built up another company, which was soon acquired by the giant AMF Corporation. After that, Carl developed Shaklee's reverse osmosis home water filtration system, and in the first year, they did 51 million sales with that product. Okay, so there's a lot of educating going on right here. There's actually not a ton of salesmanship. Anything in here? Wait, let's see. I think what we're doing here is we're kind of expanding upon it. If we consider that second line part of the headline, then this is all just expanding, right? So we got to expand the headline right there. You get the idea. So he says right here, you get the idea. He's like, okay, that's it. I'm done with this. Let's move on. What this guy does is he comes up with enormously valuable inventions, starts a company to sell those inventions, and so on. He goes nuts with all the hassles of running a business, and so he sells out at a huge profit to some giant corporation that has the resources and the clout to exploit the living daylights out of whatever it is he invented. But now he has outdone himself. Now at the request of Seychelles Technologies Inc., he has invented something that is needed by every human being in the world, and this invention is almost certain to generate billions in sales. Okay, billions in sales. This is a big deal. Alright? Let's look at over some of this stuff over here. So what this whole part here is doing is it's setting up a pattern. And whenever you set up a pattern like this, what you're really doing is saying that this is predictable. This is something that he's done before. The evidence is already there in the copy beforehand. The 3 examples. 1, 2. Maybe it isn't 3. He tells you all the information. He says he sums it up. So in other words, this guy creates big businesses and then sells them. Then here you'll see now at the request of this technology. So we're setting up for our sort of catalyst that's going to cause some sort of trigger event that's going to give us a lot of money, some sort of payout, some sort of benefit, right? Also, potentially, seeing that it's at the request of someone can lend some credibility, right? So cred. And it's going to make billions of sales. Okay, cool. Here's how he came up with his latest invention. This one's a little more difficult to mark up because the text is very smashed together compared to what we usually break down, and I think that's because they ran this as a full-page ad, so perhaps they had to for the sake of space.